We're talking Royals baseball here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. David Lesky, Soren Petro with you. Of course, you can catch David's great writing at Inside the Crown. You can catch me on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Royals have an 8-game winning streak, longest of the year. What does an 8-game winning streak really mean at this point in the season? Does it have any value for 27? Just how important is Vinnie's bat to this ball club? Are the Royals serious about Daniel Lynch as a starter? How much of that bullpen problem's been solved? Maybe get into a little Walcha, Cameron, dueling down the stretch for the 27 opening day starter nod. Level of concern with Maikel Garcia. The Royals' new stadium cleared to hurdle. We'll even look ahead to the next 6 games. We're doing it right here, right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner Podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky and Soren Petro.
That's right. Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. 8 games, David. 8 games. You were even out there. By the way, if you could tell, we're coming to you. We're recording live. We're recording just after the game. We're not gonna try to sell you on the fact that it's nighttime right now, even though we're running live.
No, we live in Alaska. It's sunny out.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, late sun. David, you were out there. 8 wins. Looked pretty good at 5-1, 5-5. You're like, oh, is this the end of it? But no, they keep on winning. What is the value? What's this worth now that they're, putting this together at this point in the year?
I mean, look, winning is important. I think it may not be important organizationally. There are times that winning is actually a bad thing for an organization. But for the players on the field, I think it's really important to experience winning. And I think in some ways maybe less for this team because this team has won, right? Like most of them have been in a playoff game. Most of them have won a playoff series because they've kept a lot of the group together. But I think that there's intrinsic value in actually succeeding, and I don't think that can be forgotten. I also think that I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm going to say that.
Right.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that right now. But you know what? It's kind of fun that you go, well, if they did this, even though it's the dumbest thing in the world, it's fun that there's at least that mention and that we have that to at least play around with for a day or two more before they go on the road where they're 22-44. I don't think it means they're going to the World Series this year. In fact, I can almost guarantee it. I've done this long enough to know that you can't guarantee anything. I can almost guarantee it, but I think there's value for the players to go through this and realize, we actually are better than we thought we are as good as we thought we were at the start of the year. We just played poorly and now figure out how to not play poorly to start next year.
Yeah. Is this, listen, here's the concern. Like there's a little graphic somebody made that's making the rounds. It's been sent to me, no joke, half a dozen times. And it's the circle of like how things go. And it's clearly been put in for like every team, but you just insert your team, whatever team you follow there. And it basically is like, how's the year go? First of all, we get optimistic about a season. We think we're going to be good. We're optimistic about the season. Season starts, we immediately go to crap. There's all these problems. We make excuses. Then late in the year when nothing can be won, we win, creating this false hope to go into it. And that's the cycle that Royals fans are in, right? I think everybody's seen it now. That's a big baseball fan. We're all sending it to each other. Is this just that? Is this like, because the Tigers are playing for something. I know they were stumbling immediately coming in, but they had gotten back into the wild card race. The A's are garbage. We know that, but and we'll talk about the next 6 games a little bit later on, but is this just as simple as that? I mean, like nobody, if they could figure out how to win some games when it doesn't matter, they would figure out how to win games when it does, right? It's a funny little GIF picture, whatever the hell it is, meme. I don't know. It's cute. And it does really hit home with Royals fans, right? Because we've seen a lot of Septembers and Augusts that they build some false hope and then nothing is delivered. Now they did finally deliver it. They had a good.
I've got some numbers on that if you'd like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's have it.
So, and this will be in tomorrow's weekend in review as well, or today's if you're listening on Monday, because you can listen on wherever you get your podcasts. Yes, they have often performed better in the second half than the first. In the last 31 years, I went back to 1995. There's 31 seasons with the first and second half. 2020 doesn't count.
By second half, are you taking it immediately 81 to 82 games is the split, or after the
because All-Star? I didn't want to have to do that math, so I just went.
Okay.
Pre-break, post-break. So there's some flaws. I'll be honest.
No, that's good. I just wanted to make sure we define what you did.
Yeah. 18 times they've been better in the second half than the first half, which a little more than half. You'd expect roughly half. But a couple of them, like 2005, they were 0.002 better. Okay, that's not better. 2012, 0.009 better. It's the same. 98 was 0.011. So I narrowed it down to the number of times they were 50 percentage points better, because that's like 4 wins. 4 wins difference. So if there's 70 games and you're 500, you're 35 wins. And if you're 450, you're like 31 wins. And 550, 39 wins, and so forth. So 10 times they've been 50 points better. And half those times it's meant something. Like the times that it's actually meant something, in my opinion, 2018 meant nothing, but 2013 meant something, 2023 meant something, 2014 meant something. I think 2011 meant something because it was the group of young guys who came up. And then I don't think 2025 was irrelevant, even though this season has proven it to be irrelevant. So that's half. And I think you'd expect that when a team does. I
think 2025 is absolutely irrelevant unless you tell me that everything this year is all the problems are just injuries.
But you don't think that's I think
how did that mean anything? They're terrible this year.
It didn't mean anything for the future. It meant something for that team, and I think there's a difference because like you look at
I see. Okay, I would agree with that. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You think that some, like the 2018 team, they were never going to win. They were never going to win the next year, but they were 179%. They were 284 in the first half and 463 in the second half. So the other thing too, like 2019, they were 78 points better, but it was still a 408 winning percentage. I don't care. That doesn't mean anything. And so some of these, like, I do think that there is some relevance to, I don't think it never means anything. I think that sometimes it means something, sometimes it doesn't. And it's just one of those things that probably about half the time it's meaningful in some way, one way or another.
Okay. Will it carry into next year? Right? Is there a way to make it carry into next year, or is that just about using a I don't know, using a springboard to say, okay, now we can go spend money. You showed me enough that I will give you money, and so therefore it will look like momentum, but in reality, it's just like you proved yourself enough that we're going to double down. That next year is going to be a good year.
Well, and I think that's where 2023 meant something, because you look at that roster. That roster wasn't good enough. That roster was never going to. I mean, yes, they had Bobby, they had Vinnie, they had Massey wasn't playing well, but he was. They had some of the young guys, but like that finish showed ownership. Hey, let's spend some money. Let's get some pitching in here. Let's do it. I think that's probably more of what it is. But I do think that for a team that has had the injuries the Royals have had, to get guys back and playing well is good mentally for them. Like Vinnie Pasquantino, the way he's hit, I think it's important that he's done well. I think that Bobby Witt Jr. getting hot, not that we ever worried about him, but I think it's important. I think there's some value in that. Overall, I think it's more about like, hey, this convinces the ownership group to say, hey, okay, we're gonna put more money into this, because we're gonna put money into this to throw some dollars at why it started off so poorly, and go from there. I don't think this is a young team. I think a young team means more, right? Like I do think there was some value on the 2023 team for them to get the experience of playing well down the stretch, because they hadn't at the big league level. I don't think it means as much for this team in that respect. But it's also, I can't bring myself to root against wins. I just can't.
Yeah. I agree.
I I just can't be upset that they're winning. And some people seem to be, which is bizarre to me, but that's whatever.
Well, I will say this. If you don't carry it forward next year, and frankly, if you don't add to the ball club in the offseason, if you just go, no, we didn't see enough, and you got to come back and prove it to us, then all they did was screw up their draft pick. And we know that if they're going to have a top draft pick this year, they can't have one next year because it'll be 3 in a row. And so, yeah, I get it. Like, I do get there's almost an element of like, you ruined my baseball watching fun, therefore I want you to suffer to the end. Right.
Yeah. And at least get me the number 2 pick.
Yeah. And you sit in this, I'm going to rub your nose in this losing season here. So, I mean, listen, I think we need to get beyond that, but yeah, I think that is a kind of the mindset that people have, but I do think it'll depend upon what they do after this, right? Because like, it is clear, it's nice that they're winning, and I think it does say that, hey, the injuries were a big part of the equation. I'll add bullpen as a problem. We're going to talk about that in a minute. That's still a problem, has been a problem, was a problem coming in. They really made a mistake on what they have bullpen wise. And I also think that what they can't do is come back. And I've talked about this with Jeff Passan a couple of times. 24 seemed to say to them, we have a championship core, instead of we're going in the right direction. And we had a magically gifted season of health, but we got to continue to add. They seem to be like, we have this and we got to nurture it, and not we got to make it better. And that's where the Seth Lugo thing right now, unless he bounces back and has a marvelous year last year, was a terrible decision, right? Mm-hmm. We all like Seth Lugo. We don't mind that Seth Lugo's on the team. I get why they did it, right? But they did it to kind of inspire the team down the stretch, and because we need pitching, and he hasn't pitched well. Literally anybody could do better. Even the guy that everyone had given up on, Daniel Lynch, has been better than him as a starter in whatever weird capacity they're using him in now, right? We'll get to that in a minute. But I think the momentum will be based upon how they need to accurately view what they've got. They need to supplement it in the right way, and they need to fix some major problems. I'm with you. I root for winning, and it does show that the core of this team adds up to something. Okay?
Yeah.
But it doesn't show that they're there. And so just, we'll just bring this same group back together and go at it, and now we're ready to win. No.
I'm with you because I think that the core, their core, what they should have been doing was making it so that a guy like, I'm just going to use Vinnie Pasquantino, a guy like him is actually not part of the main core, and he is the supporting cast rather than the main core. Whereas they saw him as the number 3 hitter, and look, he's 32 homers, 113 RBIs last year. He proved a lot last season, but they need to continually be improving upon everybody but Bobby Witt Jr. maybe at this point, and say, and maybe Jack Caglianone's getting to that level too. But you want to make other guys less important, because that just makes your team so much better. It's like we talk about all the time. If John Schreiber's your 8th inning guy, you have a terrible bullpen. If he's your 5th or 6th inning guy, your bullpen's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's the same idea. If Vinnie Pasquantino's hitting 3rd, your lineup might not be good enough. If he's hitting 6th, your lineup might be really good.
Yeah, I think there you've been on, because the Royals look at 32 and 113 from last year and say, that's who he is.
Yeah.
And they've got to start looking at it going, that's the career year. He's less than that. And so let's not bank on that's what he is. And that needs to be their mindset when it comes to talking about trading him. And it needs to be their mindset when it comes to, successfully evaluating what they have offensively, is to look at it.
And not just him, everybody.
Yeah. Because I do think his bat's important. I think, listen, I hope there is a way to put this team together to where it functions as a proper baseball team. And in my opinion, that means Jack Caglianone is not in the outfield. I hope there's a way to do it, and Vinnie Pasquantino to be here. I see where it is. It's Vinnie DHing and supplementing at first base, or even Jack Caglianone DHing and Vinnie being the first base. I don't care. I just want real outfielders in the outfield that can go get the ball and can also hit. And so I hope there's a way to do it, but you've got to accurately figure out what Vinnie Pasquantino is. And if somebody is giving you an everyday right field and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, Vinnie's, 32 plus, 113 plus. Like, no, that's his career year. He's actually 32 minus, and 113 minus is what he's going to be. He's also going to be hurt at some point. It's happened every year of his career, save one. Okay, so that's what he is, and you have to accurately view that. The starting pitching has been better of late. Is that a product of who they're playing, or do you think that they've found something even amongst all the injuries?
Well, yes to who they're playing, and also yes to finding something. I think it's a little both. Noah Cameron becoming the best pitcher in the world if it doesn't hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big part of it. And you felt like they had some, Maikel Walcha has always been a really solid 3. I think he's a fringe 2. The numbers actually show better than that, but you look at the stuff and I think he's a 2 or 3 starter in the big leagues. And that helps. And you've somehow coaxed a ridiculous 50, I don't even know how many innings Randy Dobnak has thrown, but however many innings that is out of him, which I think it's wild that, what was it, Thursday, he did something that fewer pitchers have done than thrown perfect games by allowing 10 runners and no runs in 4 innings or less. That's crazy. And then with Lynch too, I think that they've done a really nice job of massaging as much as they can. I don't think it's sustainable over a long season. I go back like the Tigers in 24. They had Scooble and then the bullpen mayhem, right? They can do that for a month and a half or 2 months. You can't do that for 162 games. So I think that they've found some stuff with being able to get through rough patches over these few weeks. I still think if you look long term, they've got to find guys to fit in that spot. They can't get by. They can't hope that Randy Dobnak is going to come out of nowhere and have a 158 ERA with 29 strikeouts and 20 walks. They just can't. It's just not sustainable. And so
I think they can. I would say on that front, I think they can feel like they can find and polish pitching, right? I do think that they can do that, but Dobnak has to be the 5. Dobnak has to be the 6, 7, 8. Yeah. I mean, and he's the 7 or 8 that you're using as the 6. I'm fine if he's the 5 because you got young guys that you're doing the service time game with. So he's really the 7th or 8th, but we've got to have him in the big leagues. Otherwise, we're going to lose him because the contract, whatever, all that. But my point is, they have to supplement some really good guys. And our hope is where it has to get to is those guys have to be Kendry Churio, David Shields, young guys that aren't expensive, because having $23 million wrapped up in 36-year-old, 37-year-old Seth Lugo is hurting this team. It's hurting them because it's $23 million they're not spending on a position player. It's hurting them because it's $23 million that's not going to 3 top shelf relievers. It's $23 million that's going to a guy who's underperforming. And if you can have, if you've got a David Shields and he sucks and you send him down and bring up another young guy, that's not crushing your payroll. Right. And so that to me is where they have to get on it. Before we break real quick, they've gone from 11 back in the wild card to 7.5 back. Okay. They are not in it. There's still the whole world in front of them. When would you say they're in it for the wild card? What would it have to get to? They're not there, and we're not talking about it because they're not there. I want to be crystal clear on this, but I'm asking for David's opinion on when he would look at it and say, okay, now they are in the mix. And even though it would be far-fetched at that point, this is when we can say, all right, you want to dream a dream?
I think there's one of 2 things and probably both that have to happen. The first is they can't be, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're behind 7 teams right now. Mm-hmm. They have 7 teams to jump. So what do they have to, I don't know, 3 maybe? 3 and that cuts down to 2 when you get to like 14 games left, and that gets down to 1 when there's 7 games left. I don't know if that's the number, whatever. And then I think you got to be 4 games back with this late in the season, because what do they have? 30 games left. If they're 4 back and with 3 teams to pass at 20 games to go,
then they're in it.
They're in it, I would say. And then again, that shrinks as the games go fewer because there's only so much. What I do find interesting is the Royals hold the tiebreaker over the Tigers, the Mariners, the Twins. They can get it over the Guardians and Blue Jays. So they actually might have the tiebreaker over like 5 of the 7 teams they're behind. It's not going to matter. Again, I want to preface, not going to matter. We're just talking, but they do at least have the tiebreaker over a few of them and could hold it over 2 more.
Yeah. I mean,
and that changes the math too.
That does change the math. I think that's an excellent point to make there. All right. We want to get into Daniel Lynch starting. What is the actual plan there? We'll do it after you hear from our friends at GAN. Your parking lot says a lot about your business. Cracks, potholes, faded striping, and damaged concrete can create safety concerns and leave the wrong impression with customers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete helps Kansas City businesses protect their properties with asphalt paving, seal coating, crack filling, parking lot striping, concrete work, and repairs. Their experienced crews deliver quality workmanship and dependable service on every project. Whether you need routine maintenance or a complete parking lot overhaul, Gann is ready to help you. Get started today with a free estimate at GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, Daniel Lynch. Is this the slowest stretching of a, bullpen guy into a starter that you've ever seen?
Yeah. What did it? 35 pitches his first start, 39 his second, 45 his third, and then 59 today. This was the first one that you're like, oh, this is a normal jump. The 15-ish pitches. I don't get it. I'll tell you what I think happened. I think that they wanted to go a little more in his second start, but he struggled, so they pulled him. And then for some reason didn't put him out there for the fifth inning of his third start with the A's against the A's. And I think that if he had thrown like 55 pitches last time and then like 70 today, you'd look at that and go, okay, that's normal, because he struggled in the second start. But to me, it pushes, it makes me feel better about the idea that they didn't really want to do this, but they had nobody to start. And so they're rewarding the guy. I don't know.
Do you see a problem why the first inning's been his bugaboo? First, everything was his bugaboo, but now the first inning.
No, I don't know. I don't know that answer. It wasn't the start against the Dodgers. I think he struck out the side in the first inning, and then it's just been the last two starts has been a first inning issue. I don't know. Some guys just struggle. I wonder if should he go out there as a reliever, like as if he's relieving and warm up like he's a reliever. Maybe he doesn't get enough warm up for that. I don't know. I don't know why that is, because you're right. He has settled in. He walked Max Clark today, and that ended his outing. And then Clark came around to score with Mason Black, diarrhea on the mound for a few minutes. But there's a lot of food recalls. I get it. But it's interesting that the first inning has been a problem for him, given the fact that he's been so good in the bullpen. You'd think that first inning would be the one that he wouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think he'd just apply the bullpen session and come out. Prediction: he does or does not ever succeed as a starter. I don't mean he at some point transitions, and for 5 or 6, 7 years he's a big league starter. That happens, yes or no?
I don't think so. I don't see it. I just don't see it. The command's not good enough. The stuff's not good enough. I think it works. The slider works in a 1 inning role. I don't think it's going to work over 6, 7 innings. I just don't. And I would not put it past him to have a good 3 months starting. I think that but I just don't think you're going to see a long career as a starter. I don't think you're going to see a good season as a starter.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, but I give him credit. He's already outperforming what I thought he would do. So there's a chance. I wouldn't say it's zero, but if you make me predict reliever or starter, what is his career known as? He will be known as a reliever, would be my prediction. But I give the kid massive props. He's already exceeded my expectations. So, and I give the Royals props for doing it. They needed somebody to start. They turned to him. Having a guy who you can get at least this kind of, obviously you can win games with a guy pitching like this because they've been doing it. So I give great credit to the organization, and mostly I give great credit to Daniel Lynch. So that's been pretty good. How much of the bullpen problem has been solved? We see Nate Pearson do a nice job in the 8th today. A couple of saves for him. Craig Kimbrell gets a save the other night. Steven Cruz getting some experience. Jose Cuas, I know he loaded the bases, but he's at least funky and has had some success. What do we think of how much of the bullpen is, because go 2-3 weeks ago and we were like, they need 8 new guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that first of all, I don't think Steven Cruz or Nate Pearson is a guy you want to go into a season that you say we're going to compete and have them as your closer. I just don't. I don't think it's a good idea. But I love that they're getting the experience of that role right now, because it is, and I mean, you can point to this year and say, yeah, it's all the good that did. But if your closer goes down or your closer has gone 3 out of 4 days or whatever, and you need a guy to pitch the 9th inning, after the season, those guys will have that experience. I mean, you talk about what Jeff Montgomery used to say all the time, the 9th inning is different. And to have the experience of the 9th in your 7th and 8th inning guys, I think is huge. I think it's massive. And those guys have gotten that experience. Nate Pearson's got a couple saves now. Steven Cruz has a few. I don't know how many he has now. He got another one. No, he didn't get one today because they scored. He's only got 5. He would have gotten a save. But I think you can go into next season and say, I feel really good that Steven Cruz and Nate Pearson can be a part of that. And I think you'd feel really good. It goes back to what we talked about with Vinnie and Schreiber and all that. If neither one is your 8th inning guy either, like I think you'd feel really good if those two are the bridge to the setup guys. It's a lot to ask for. It's a lot to ask to acquire, but I think you'd feel great knowing the experience they've acquired. And I think you're right. Jose Cuas is interesting. I think the Royals have done a really good job of acquiring intriguing arms. And some of them are a little older than you'd like. I mean, they just released Scott Barlow. They had obviously Aaron Bummer, and that didn't last very long. And who else did they had? The outfielder who became a pitcher, Anthony Goes. They have him in Omaha. But Cuas has been a nice pickup. Connor Thomas has looked solid, even though his career started about as poorly as possible with other teams. And then I do think you add Daniel Lynch back to that bullpen next year, and all of a sudden you got, okay, we feel pretty good about maybe half the bullpen. You still need the dudes, but you've got the guys now, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's making, like, we talked about the winning earlier, but they're at least putting some guys in. It's like, okay, you don't have to find 8, right? Like, and I think that's important because it really did look like, oh my God, like where are these
7 at least, from? Yeah.
Yeah, and now, I mean, does Craig Kimbrell have a role in 27? I mean, he's barely pitched for the Royals. We're going to get a chance to see how he pitches the rest of the year. But could you see a scenario where Craig Kimbrell's part of the equation for the Royals?
He looks way better than I thought he would.
I agree.
I mean, I thought
I was going to see like 89.
Yeah, like I was 91, 92, whatever. There were 95 up there. You got a gutsy save on what was that, Saturday night? Yeah, Saturday night. When Pearson had gone 2 in a row, which, by the way, Pearson has been terrible back-to-backs, and he had a scoreless outing on Friday in a back-to-back. In his career, he's been terrible. Not a big sample. I think ideally you would rather not sign a guy who will turn 39 around Memorial Day in your bullpen. But I also think that if Craig Kimbrell was willing to come, if he looks good, obviously there's a big if for the last 5 weeks of the season. If he continues to look good, and you feel like, hey, this guy can impart a lot of wisdom in this bullpen, there are worse things than having him in the Schreiber role.
Yeah.
And again, another guy that I think doesn't phase a guy with 441 career saves. He may not be good enough to get it done 45 times, but that's another guy you can turn to. I don't have a problem if he's lower in the pecking order in the bullpen. Can't be your closer. Let's put that out there. But I do think there could be a spot for him.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if will he accept that role, or is he a guy that's like, I'm here to work my way to the closer role, and if that's not happening, I want out, right? He's got to embrace the role. But I'm with you. Like, maybe you don't necessarily want him in a 1-run save, but you 3-run save and your closer's gone back-to-back nights, we're going to give it to Kimbrell. Like, maybe he gives up 1, but we'll get out of here with a 3-run save. Like those kind of situations, I think he could be. I'm kind of intrigued by what he might be able to be. And I do love that idea of having his experience as part of that bullpen. So I think it could be a positive. Again, if he buys in, if he embraces the role that they've got for him. If they're going to be a championship club, they need somebody who's better than him now. maybe he will learn a new pitch with Brian Sweeney, and we're like, oh wow, it's different because Trevor Hoffman was still a lights out closer at the end of his career, like he was at the beginning of his career, but it was very different how he was doing it. He evolved into a changeup and a junk baller, that got it done. Where early on he was a flamethrower. That wasn't what he was at the end, but he was still piling up saves. So maybe I don't, who knows, maybe you can make that transition with Craig Kimbrell. He's got the makeup for it. It's just, does he have the weapons? Maybe they can give him a weapon.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. Walcha versus Cameron. You mentioned how good Noah Cameron's been. Battling for who will be the opening day starter. We'll have the whole season to look at, and we'll probably kick this around a lot during the offseason. But if you had to start a playoff game today, and you're able to set it up because you've won the division, who's your game one starter today?
I'd probably go Noah Cameron at this point. And I look, there are other variables. Who are they playing? Is it a team that can't hit a right-handed changeup? Well, okay, then it's Maikel Walcha. But
yes,
all things equal, I'm going with the guy who's given up 15 hits and 42 in a third innings. You can't win a game if you can't get on base. You're not going to. And I go back to that Dodgers game, the one rough start he had in this stretch. And I thought he was a little bit tentative early on, and then got back in the zone in the last 3 innings, ended up giving a couple runs that were inherited runs that scored. I would go Cameron over Walcha in game one of a playoff series right now, because what Cameron's doing isn't like, oh, he's pitching really well. No, he is pitching. He's having putting up some of the best numbers we've seen in stretches this long, like ever. We talked about some of the names that were in there. I don't think you can go away from that. I would understand the experience. Where are you going?
I think I'm going Cameron. One, there's probably going to be a lot of left-handed bats, and so I think he's probably going to be the better matchup for most teams. You're right. I mean, I think right now I don't think there is a definitive one. I think it'd be situations based upon who it is. But I think the fact that Noah Cameron's in the conversation, and Maikel Walcha just threw another good game last time out. The experience of Maikel Walcha would be something that would be intriguing. He's been up there. He's been in those big games. What's Noah Cameron going to do? Is he going to try to overpitch because it's a playoff game? I think you could put either one up there, and you got an absolutely defendable position to put either one of them in there now. I think it would ultimately be, who are you matching up with? But I think that speaks volumes to what Noah Cameron has done in year 2 to back up what he did in year 1. The numbers aren't going to be as good. Hopefully he can get that ERA down under 4. He's headed towards it. It gets harder and harder the later you get, but he's trending towards it. It's not going to be down. He's not going to get a 3, but he might be able to get it to 386, 375 if he just stays electric. I just don't think he can stay this hot, the rest of the way. But it is a remarkable accomplishment. And by the way, the answer is somebody else.
I was gonna ask you. I know my answer. If the Royals are talking about a playoff game, do you think either one of those guys is even a consideration for game 1? And my answer is no.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there is a world where you can get to the postseason and even win a postseason series without having a dominant starter. But I think it's more likely you're going to have somebody who's a real stud that you're going to be an obvious first choice. And right now these guys just don't have that kind of power arsenal. Noah Cameron is getting there with his whiffs. Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily overwhelming fastball, but he is getting strikeouts. I mean, but yeah, I think it's just amazing that we're even having that conversation right now. That's
100%. I think if you get to a playoffs, I think they can do enough for the offseason. We'll tease a November episode right now. I think you can do enough in the offseason to become a playoff team if you only get one starter to pitch above those two because of the way Noah Cameron's pitched. Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a great way to put it. And I think that makes it easier for you to go focus all your time and energy on getting bullpen help. Mm-hmm. Which this team is clearly going to have to do.
Bullpen help, probably one more bat, maybe 2 even, and one top of the rotation starter. I mean, it's a lot. It's a long list. We'll get to it.
It is. It is for sure. For sure. All right. I want to hear from our friends at Italian Delight. Then we'll get into Maikel Garcia. Should we be concerned about him long-term? Looks like he's done for the year. We'll also talk about the stadium clearing another hurdle. We'll do that next here after you hear from our friends at Italian Delight.
Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight.
If your property needs asphalt or concrete work, Gann Asphalt and Concrete is ready to help you. From parking lots and drive lanes to sidewalks, curbs, patching, seal coating, crack filling, and repairs. Their experienced crews handle projects of all sizes throughout the entire Kansas City metro. Whether you're fixing problem areas or planning a larger paving project, Gann focuses on quality workmanship and dependable service from start to finish. No matter what shape your pavement is in today, they can help improve it. Request a free estimate and learn more at GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. All right, let's talk a little bit about Maikel Garcia. How concerned do you think that this organization should be right now? Looks like he's done for the year. There's a backslide. He had the hands. That obviously was a part of the equation, but not a great follow-up, not a great first year after giving him a multi-year deal.
No, I mean, look, when you have 3 different injuries in a season, that's not ideal. It's not what you want, because it was the right hamstring first, right? This is the left hamstring that he's on right now. Left hamstring now. So right hamstring first. Well, I think it was hand, then right hamstring, now left hamstring. And when you hurt both your legs and your game is agility, not so much speed. He's not as fast as you think. He never was, but agility, that sort of stuff. It's concerning. And I think that, whatever Lorenzo Cain did in that offseason, was that between 13 and 14 when he changed the way he was? I think there was that offseason. They got to get Garcia in touch with his people and figure out what he did, because Cain was fine after that. He had all sorts of hamstring issues for years and then didn't have any while playing center field and going after it. May have one. I don't think you're so concerned about the hand. I think that heals. I'm concerned that that soft tissue injuries keep happening and have happened multiple times to him, because that says that, hey, you might need to change up the way you're doing something. Not that he's doing anything wrong. It's just that maybe as you're getting a little older, and maybe he did it favoring the right leg a little bit, because it wasn't 100%. So I don't think they need to be concerned. They need to get it right.
Yeah,
moving into next year.
Yeah. This whole year has been, Vinnie comes back, then he goes right back on the DL. Like I asked Sam McDowell, would you be taking a look at your medical approach after this year? He said, well, you're barreling towards being like 30 games under 500. I think you'd look at everything, so yes, absolutely. You're going to take a look at that. I think they do. They need to see, like, okay, were we missing some things here and how we are going about the medical side of things? It's been a tough year, and you could say, listen, I don't know who's changed over the last 2 years. You could be like, listen, this is the yang to the yin of 2024. And last year was kind of where we ought to be. So, we do it again next year and everybody's hurt, then we're going to take a look at what we're doing training regimen. I will say this for those, because I've had people ask me that a lot, so I wanted to bring it up here. These guys do so much work with their guys. Usually it's their agency and their hitting program and their pitching program and their off-season program. But the Royals are somewhat at the mercy of what's already been put into their mind as to what they need to do. And it's just a reality. You have to work with them. We saw the battles of the long toss days where the Dayton Moore era was not wanting them long tossing, and guys were doing the Royals throwing program and long tossing, and then they all ended up getting hurt. And so you have to be able to work with what they have decided they want to do. But the in-season stuff, you got to take a second look and say, like, okay,
to me, the biggest issue is like the recurrence of injuries. It just keeps, or guys like Like Cole Reagans goes on a rehab assignment and then he doesn't pitch again. And Garcia, plays through the hand injury and it hurts again. And I get that's a little different because you don't feel it until there's a mishit. Like, figure it out. Vinnie going on the IL again. Chris Bubich had, what did he have? 4 rehab games, 3 rehab games, and then he was shut down again.
Yep.
Carlos Estevez has been shut down 19 times. I was just looking at the that injury transaction thing on MLB.com. That it's a great resource. Nick Mears shut down again. He had another. We forget about Nick Mears.
Yeah,
and I think he could be a part of a bullpen next year if he's healthy. But he was shut down again, and it's like, why are these guys coming back and then getting hurt again? That's where my biggest concern is. And
it's almost like they don't look at it. Yeah, they don't identify the injury properly the first time, is what it feels like.
They treat a symptom and not the actual injury.
Yeah. All right, I got some wonderful numbers from Kurt Nelson. He runs the Royals Hall of Fame. He is what I would call the Royals team historian. Salvador Perez is now 7 of 8 in stolen base attempts. Okay. I want to point out that's
7.5%.
That's an 88% success rate, right? 87.5%, 88% success rate. Ricky Henderson, 81. Okay. 81. The Royals are 6-1 in games that Salvador Perez has recorded a stolen base. Okay. And he's 1 for 2 in trying to steal third, but a perfect 6 for 6 when going for second. This is, however, only the second time that he has come around to score following one of his steals. So I ask you, we had a triple from him not long ago. Which is more likely, that he will triple again or that he will steal again?
Oh, I think it's more likely he'll steal again because he'll catch a guy sleeping. I want to know what game they lost that he stole a base. I'm looking right now. I'm trying to find it before you can, if you have it. But
no, I don't.
I don't lose that game. I don't know how you lose a game that Salvador Perez stole a base. They won. Oh my God. It's the second he stole against Detroit in 2017. How are the Tigers not ready for that?
Salvador Perez's last steal came in 21. He has had 2 triples.
They won that game.
He's had 2 triples since his last steal. Now, I will say, if you go back, if you just say, okay, since 21, he's had 2 triples and 2 steals. I think everybody who's a Royals fan should get big money and bet. Every Royals fan should find a friend, and one of you take SB and one of you take triple. So you got a rooting interest every time that man comes to the plate or gets on base.
It's tough too because he does hit the ball to the wall enough that a guy could fall down and break a leg or something, and he gets to third. Maybe it's triple. I'm going to stick with stolen base because I said it first, but I'm thinking it might be triple. Now I feel dumb.
Okay. The Royals Stadium cleared yet another vote, 11-2. This one, the financing coming from Kansas City, Missouri. We heard some people opposed to it, but it passes 11-2. There's more still to come, but the mayor of Kansas City is talking about wanting to get shovels in grounds or knocking down what needs to be knocked down 4th quarter of this year. 4th quarter, I will point out, begins on October 1st. It begins in a little over a month. Is that
38 days away?
Yeah. Is that, are we going to, that'll be great if they do, but it is starting to become a reality that, a new baseball stadium is going to be the home of the Royals.
Yeah. They said March opening day, 2030.
They're hoping to make
that's what the hope is, because I think it was May 27 was when they'd break ground. And I thought that seems wildly ambitious. Yes, to break ground, but also wildly ambitious to get a stadium done. Then I looked at some timelines. I've got Truist was 29 months, Globe Life, the new one, was 31 months. Yankee Stadium was 31 months. Lone Depot in Miami was 33. Target Field was 35. Citi Field was 36. PNC was 24 months from groundbreaking to open, which is, I don't know how you get that done in 24 months, but so apparently 34 months is plenty of time to open on whatever opening day is of 2030. Maybe they open the Royals on the road to give them an extra week. Seems like it's going to happen.
That is amazing. The one thing I will say, there was some, conversation about, one of the guys who voted against, one of the city councilmen. I don't know I forget what what their title is that had this
Yeah.
vote. It was 11-2 in favor of it. Was talking about like, hey, we've got other issues. We've got a homeless problem. And I agree. This country has a homeless problem. And if you're a city in this country, you have a homeless problem. I mean, you can see it. And I'm very sensitive to that subject. And I get it. But I don't understand why it's always Major League Baseball teams that are supposed to solve it. And none of the other construction projects that go on, does anybody ever shine a light into the fact that, well, why isn't the Panasonic factory, solving the homeless problem? Why didn't, the last building, I remember, the 2 light and 3 light and 1 light, why aren't they solving the homeless problem? Why isn't the H&R Block building solving the homeless problem? It seems like it's always on the ballpark. They're like, well, we're giving all this to billionaires. I know. And you do it all the time. That's what you don't realize. If you're, and I know everyone listening to us is probably for the stadium. So I'm pushing an open door here. I get it. But I mean, it is amazing how like the rallying cry is against the billionaire sports team owners. You don't even realize they're greenlighting it for all the billionaires, building all the projects. And so don't, like, if you're a Royals fan and you're like, oh man, this kind of sucks. It's going on everywhere, right? It's going on everywhere. It's not just sports teams that get all kinds of breaks when it comes to building anything, anywhere, in any town in this country.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. The Barney Alice Plaza redevelopment, the Roy Blunt Luminary Park over I-670.
The plaza. They want to redo the plaza. They're giving them all kinds of tax breaks.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
It's like, this is happening everywhere where money is going.
I remember back in, it's been a long time. I wrote an article, a blog post about the Royals and their utility guy who they could sign. And somebody goes, why are you writing about a utility guy? They need a cleanup hitter. Well, they also need a utility guy.
Yeah.
So you can do both.
Yeah.
Like, figure out a way to do everything.
Yeah.
Because you got the money. Do it all.
Yeah, but it does look like we're barreling towards the stadium, and they're starting to make me think they're going to make their timeline. Which, the fact that they're staying in Kansas City, Missouri, I think there'd be some grace from Jackson County about because they're staying in Jackson County, so there'd be some grace about if they needed.
But they don't even. I think they'd have through 2030, even if there was a delay.
They do. They do have through 2030. So. Yeah, they're exiting a year early if they get in 2030. So that's what I'm saying. It looks like they're going to be fine. And I think the fact that they're staying in Jackson County, they will help contribute to tearing down their park. I don't know what's going to happen with the Chiefs and who's going to pay for that, because that's going to be part of the equation as well. Road trip, 6 games, 3 in Toronto, 3 in Cleveland. What do they do this week?
God, I mean, they're 22-44 on the road. So 2-4 is the easy answer. I'm gonna say 3-3. I think they win one, lose. I think they win one series, lose another. They don't sweep either or get swept. The Blue Jays are not playing well. I'll tell you what, the only thing I hope for, I hope they are not the team to give up Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s first home run of the year. Let it wait another series. I don't want them to be that team.
The Guardians have, and I don't know if this includes, I'm not looking at their scores. I'm going to refresh this. The Guardians, I assume, are done today. The Guardians have won 3 in a row and 6 out of 10. And the Blue Jays have lost 1 and are 5-5 in their last 10. So 3-3. 3-3 feels about right to me. I would you bet on?
I'll tell you, both teams. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say both teams are firmly in the playoff race, and neither team wants to see a hot Royals team right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're good or bad team. You don't want to see a team playing well come into town when you're trying to make the playoffs.
And we had to tape early tonight, so if some games happen and this changes, I apologize for those of you that'll be watching it in the 9:00 hour here on Sunday. But right now, the Guardians are the first team out of the wild card, a half game back of the Rangers, and the Blue Jays are a game and a half back. They're right behind the Guardians. So, they'll be rooting for Royals, trying to beat Royals, and then rooting for Royals, as these two teams are that are going at it head to head. If you had to bet on 4-2 or 2-4, which one would you bet?
I need to see them win on the road before I'd bet on 4-2.
Yeah,
I would say 2-4. I want to say 4-2. I really do. I just can't.
I do too. I want to say it because I want to feel good about that. Okay, they're getting their pieces back, and they are going to be better next year. And it doesn't require $100 million influx from ownership. But I feel like they've won 8 in a row, so they're kind of due to probably go 1-5.
Right. You're probably right.
based upon the season that they've had. So we'll see what they do. We'll talk about it next Sunday here on the actually next Monday. A little programming note because I'll be flying back from Las Vegas next Sunday. So we'll do it next Monday here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. Remember, you can always support the Kaufman Corner by supporting our great sponsors. Our friends at Gann are awesome. Your parking lot, that's the first impression customers get of your business. Protect it. Gann Asphalt and Concrete does repairs, resurfacing, seal coating, striping, concrete work. Their experienced crews handle it all. Learn more at GannAsphalt.com. And our buddy Renee and his great crew at Italian Delight are ready to get you some lunch, some dinner. They're a wonderful pizza. I had some over the weekend, as a matter of fact. First restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. Daily lunch special starting at under $10. They're just a few minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Avenue. Order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. For David Lesky from Inside the Crown, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Kaufman Corner.